I'm having a great time right now. It's been 30 minutes of trying to install one program. Holy. Do you ever feel like Windows just keeps getting worse? It's almost like every week they add more bloat, ads, half-baked updates on features that already work just fine, and slide in AI crap where it shouldn't be. Not to mention making it harder and harder to have any semblance of privacy while you use the damn thing. I could go on, but I'm sick of it. I just wish there was something other than Windows that you could run on your PC, whether it's for business or for pleasure. Whoa! What's that? Oh, God? Is that you?
Jake, you shall have a task to make you an example in these dark times. To use Linux, because, well, I think you'll like it. It's probably fun.
Good idea, oh Lord!
Of course it's a good idea. Behold, look well upon this, Jake. This is TUS. This is your task. This is your mission. This is what you must embrace and construct and experience. Linux.
A blessing from the Lord.
God be praised.
Look well upon it. This is your quest.
But Linux is open source and I thought it sucks for gaming and is ugly and hard to use.
Sure, that's what we've been told. But thanks to Valve's massive economic dong, brute forcing Linux adoption with the Steam Deck and soon to be Steam Machine, and the huge buff that's had to the Linux user base, it begs the question, is it possible? Hell, maybe even better to run Linux on your computer for gaming or productivity than Windows or macOS. And to find out, I'm going to spend the next month of my life locked away from both, daily driving Linux on every computer I own so that you don't have to. And who knows, maybe it's gonna be great. Now, to be clear, I already use Linux in my home lab and on servers all the time. So the fact that I've never daily driven it is frankly kind of embarrassing. So delay no longer. Where do we start? Where do you download a Linux? This is where things already start to get complicated. You see, the Linux project at its core is just a kernel, which is kind of like the engine of your operating system. Naturally, it's a very important piece. It basically acts as the glue between your hardware and the software, but you also need a couple other pieces like, tires and suspension and whatnot before we can take this proverbial high road to enlightenment. Now, what we actually want to download is a Linux distro or distribution, and those come with all those other pieces already included. You probably heard of distros like Ubuntu or Mint, except there's actually thousands of flavors, all the way from Hannah Montana Linux to whatever the this is. It's honestly a bit overwhelming, so I did what any sane person should, and I asked Twitter which distro I should use. Lesbian. What the There were hundreds of suggestions. I downloaded a sketchy Chrome extension that let me scrape all the replies, put them into a big list, and we were left with the Twitter Linux leaderboard, upon which 4 distros shone above the rest: Fedora, CachyOS, Arch, and Bazzite. As somebody who kind of likes going fast, I was immediately drawn to CachyOS. It's a version of one of the main Linux distros called Arch. Yep, but what makes CachyOS interesting is how much faster it is than pretty much anything else. And I'm not talking like, oh, it's less bloated or there's faster animations. No, I'm talking optimizations that can legitimately yield double-digit speedups. There was even a dude in my Twitter replies saying that Counter-Strike gets more FPS in CachyOS than in Windows. Linux? Better for gaming? Huh? And while we're on the topic of gaming, it's hard to ignore Bazzite, a derivative of Fedora that's built for gaming and tries to mimic the Steam Deck experience with GPU drivers and Steam Big Picture mode pre-installed. Bazzite honestly seems like a pretty sweet option, but it's not what I'm gonna use because it's designed as more of a managed experience where most of the operating system is read-only by default. And I know that sounds antithetical to like what you've heard about Linux being, oh, it's so customizable, but I promise it's actually a good thing, especially for noobs, because it's a lot harder to brick your shit. I just feel like I want maybe a little bit more of a traditional Linux experience, at least to start. And you need to get subscribed because you don't want to miss the follow-up to this video where I tell you about my experience in a month or so. Once I'm done, it's gonna be magical journey. CES is definitely not next week. Then there's Nobara Linux. This one was a little bit further down the list, number 9, but it's gonna blow your mind. It's gaming focused and based on Fedora, just like Bazite, but it uses the performance optimized Linux kernel from CachyOS. Ah! How is any normal person supposed to figure out what one to use? That was 4 of like hundreds of suggestions. Now I could ask Wendell, but we're gonna flip a coin. The heads is CachyOS, tails is Nobara. And I'm sorry, Allie, there's no distro called My Balls. Not yet. Look, it's a loonie, if you're unfamiliar. That's a Canadian dollar coin. It's called a loonie because there's a loon on there. That's tails, and if I get that, we're doing Nobara. And on the other side is Queen Elizabeth, and she's gonna represent CachyOS. I don't wanna move. I swear it's heads! I don't want you guys to think I bamboozled this shit, all right? I kind of want to do Cachy, so I might just flip this multiple times. CachyOS it is, baby! I don't know why I did that. But before we do that, we're gonna back up my systems just in case something goes wrong. And what better way to do that than by using the DH4300 Plus from UGREEN, who sponsored this portion of today's video. After you slide in up to 4 hard drives of your choosing with the DH4300 Plus, you can have up to 120 terabytes of raw storage to play with. That's enough to store thousands of 4K movies and potentially millions of photos, even if you're reserving a drive for parity to protect your data. It's kind of like having your own personal cloud. But don't worry, the setup is easy enough that even someone with no experience can be up and running in just a few minutes. And you can do it by connecting your phone just by tapping NFC. In just a few more clicks, you can also be backing up your precious photos from your Android phone or your iPhone automatically. And it can even group your photos by person or by place without even having to upload any data to the cloud. That's all local, baby. Or in my case, taking full backups of my PC so I can nuke Windows without worrying. Cool, right? And it's fast too. With a wired connection, you can transfer at speeds up to 300 megabytes per second. That's astronomically faster than Google Drive will let me do even with my multi-gigabit internet speed, and you keep control of your data in the process. Like all of their NASs, it can handle the whole family with a full permission system so that you can keep your personal data separate from the rest. It's just that easy, and it works remotely too. If you want even more protection, you can even back up your UGREEN NAS to a service like Google Drive or another UGREEN NAS automatically too. So even if you aren't trying Linux for the first time and you need a backup, why not solve your storage or photo woes with 15% off the new UGREEN DH4300 at the link down in the description. Let's download it. Oh, customizable, my favorite. That's not gonna make this complicated. Ensuring a smooth and enjoyable computing experience every time you use it. You better not be lying to me, Cachy. You good human? I'm gonna not even look at that warning at the top of the page and ignore it. We're gonna push through. It's just like Windows. We have to make an install USB. They don't have like an install USB creator, so you download the ISO and then use a tool like Balena Etcher, and I'm gonna flash it to this SD card because it's faster than any of the USB drives I have, and I don't want to sit here and wait all day. And flash. Success! But now what? Do I install it on my MacBook? No, actually, you can't. Now there is a distro specifically for running Linux on Apple Silicon called Asahi Linux, and it does work on a ton of the older MacBooks. Anything M1 and M2 are pretty well supported. And if you go to the M4 specific support page, you can see TBA means that they haven't even started development. So yeah, it's not going on my MacBook. Ooh. Instead, we're gonna install it on a Framework laptop. Now, if you're not familiar, Framework is a super cool company that builds devices that are designed to not only be repairable, but also upgradable. And you can see this one is so repairable and upgradable that it actually comes in parts. It's a DIY edition that you have to assemble, which is kind of freaking awesome. Not only that, but you actually get to pick whatever parts you want, any RAM configuration, any SSD configuration. Hell, you can even pick your own RAM and SSD configuration and supply your own. In fact, I actually switched out the 1 terabyte SSD they sent me for a 4 terabyte SSD that I pulled out of the Framework desktop because I gotta be able to video edit on this thing. Oh God, oh God. Oh, I didn't think about this. Does the video editing software run on Linux? I guess we'll find out. This thing it's a sword. I know we haven't even installed it yet, but the thing that has me worried more than anything is the battery life. I'm so used to using an ARM-based MacBook that's like crazy power efficient. So to go back to AMD is a little daunting. Let me just swap the IO. Ow! Fuck! We got a Ryzen AI 9 HX370 with Radeon 890M graphics. Huzzah! CachyOS, let's go! Wendell would be so proud of me right now. Hey, look at that. Where's my mouse? Oh my God, it's so small. Launch installer, eh? Very nice. Oh my God. We haven't even started the installer and it's already asking me what to pick and giving me no information about which one I should pick, other than this one is the default. So, hopefully that's not a problem later. Yo, I can install it with Z. I only got one disk. I'm probably not gonna do that. That seems like a lot of overhead. There's so many options. Oh my God, I don't know. I think I can change these after. I know GNOME. GNOME is like the OG, the default. Cosmic, whoa. That looks like macOS. We can ask the internet. A lot of people are saying Plasma. Okay, well, let's start with Plasma. Oh, cool, I can pick other ones to install. Cosmic looked cool. I like the idea of that one. Maybe we'll try Hyperland because people kept yapping about that. Whew, that was stressful. I like how there's like a description of the desktop manager, but I feel like there should be a default. New users should probably use this one to start or download a couple, you know? While that installs, I guess it's time to do my desktop. Welcome to CachyOS. We, the CachyOS developers, hope that you will enjoy using CachyOS as much as we enjoy building it. The links below will help you get started with your new operating system, so enjoy the experience and don't hesitate to send us your feedback. The controls on the top work right off the bat. That's a good sign. That's a great sign. Installing packages is definitely one of the biggest hiccups when you get into Linux if you're used to Windows and macOS, because there's so many different types of Linux. Let's say you want to install Helium. It's a really cool open source browser. It's based on the Chromium project, which is the base of Google Chrome, but they basically just don't include any of Google's garbage, and it has ad blocking built in. If you're using ad blocking, just allow list my channel or YouTube Premium. This one, honestly, I think will work. If you're trying to install something, I don't know, more complicated or maybe like a smaller project, you might end up getting the instructions for, I don't know, how to install it on Ubuntu and Fedora, but nothing for how to install it on an Arch-based distribution like CachyOS. And the packages they give you might just not work. It might only be possible to get that application installed by building it from the source code. I've heard that Arch has gotten a lot better in recent years for that. And let's see, I mean, they have a lot of popular packages right here that I can just install. I made a list of like programs that I use every day, and I really need to see that all of them, or at least most of them, are supported. I think I'm liking this Plasma desktop environment. It's nice and snappy. This will start the program. If you don't trust it, click cancel, continue. Hey, well that was easy. We got a torrent client, that's important. Handbrake, I'll install Handbrake, sure, why not? LibreOffice, that's a good one to have. It's like an open source version of Microsoft's Office suite, but I mostly use Google Docs and like Google Sheets and stuff, so I probably don't need that. OBS, VLC is a great one for video playing. Whoa, it's cooking. Wow, that installed so fast. I'm used to like APT on Ubuntu or Debian, and it's like just takes its sweet time, but that was pretty quick. Is this just gonna work right off the bat? Let's try it. We do screen capture, Pipewire. I don't know what that is, but sure. Hey, look at that. Okay, I don't have audio. How do I get video acceleration in OBS? Can I just go to the AMD website? I don't think that's how that works. It was there the whole time. I just didn't look at the right thing. Oh, I can look up repositories. We're cooking on this Linux. All right, you're here, boys. There's definitely a lot of packages in here. Wow. Let me try like some other stuff from my list. What about a 10 gig dongle? Is that just gonna work? Dude, it's working. 10 gigabit. Okay. One of the cool things with Linux is that a ton of the drivers for so many different devices are baked into the Linux kernel. For a lot of things, you don't even need to go in and install drivers. They're just there. I mean, Windows has a ton by default, but Windows doesn't have one for this 10 gig dongle by default. Okay, this is going honestly pretty well so far. I've got a web browser installed. I'm gonna have Steam installed in a second here. Not that I ever game on my laptop, but I sure as shit wanna try. Hey, there we go. Steam's working. Sick. I don't actually play a ton of different games, but there is still problems with anti-cheat in games not supporting Linux properly. If I recall correctly, Faceit for Counter-Strike, their anti-cheat doesn't support Linux, but scrolling through my Steam library, it seems like most of the games are in here. I don't see any that are like super obvious jumping out at me as not allowed. Baldur's Gate is in here. Arc Raiders, they'll all install. Here is maybe a deal breaker thing for me. I gotta be able to video edit on the go. That's why I picked a higher spec laptop, and I normally use Davinci Resolve. It's really awesome editing suite. We love that stuff. Oh, cool. Wow, they have like all the driver information and whatnot. I'm noticing a distinct lack of Davinci Resolve launching. We might need to do the terminal install. Davinci Resolve run -I. App images require Fuse to run. Let's try to get Fuse. Hey, I don't know why there was no prompt to say that it needed Fuse to work. We got Davinci, baby. There's so much Linuxing happening. Okay, Resolve is not launching. I feel like I'm missing dependencies. Look at that, we're missing libpango. On the Arch Wiki, there's a whole thing on how to fix this specific error we have. Okay, cool. Now will it start? Yes! Success! You know what? I don't actually know how to install a package on Arch. How to install package from AUR. Arch. Uppercase S to do it. Oh, it's building it from source. That's so cool. Davinci has still not started. I'm having a great time right now. It's been 30 minutes of trying to install one program. Holy shit. Oh God. I don't know what it's doing. It just says checking licenses. Use license key. Oh my God, it's working. It seems like if I launch it not from the terminal, it doesn't work. But if I launch it from the terminal, it's fine. This is miserable so far. Boy, I feel like I have lived 100 years in the last 4 hours it's been. Most of the software items in my list just downloaded and worked. I've got my text editor, I've got a web browser, got my SSH client, I got my coding stuff, Discord, Steam. Hell, even right now, I installed CachyOS on my desktop. I'll have links to a spec out of my workstation in the description, as well as a link for the framework laptop and, I don't know, MacBook, I guess, if you want one of those after watching this video. As for Davinci Resolve, it loads. I was able to get a new project created and imported footage into it just fine and did some cutting around and it seemed to be working. However, anytime I tried to load an existing project that, you know, like a finished video, it just crashes. There is a ton of different information on the Arch Wiki on how to like optimize Davinci, but for now, you're just gonna have to stay tuned for the update video and see if I was even able to get it to work. So get subscribed so you don't miss that. I did have one other major issue. Fusion 360, the CAD program I like to use when I'm designing 3D models and whatnot, it doesn't support Linux. There is supposedly a way to run it with an app called Bottles. It allows running Windows apps in Linux, but I tried that for a good hour messing about with the various different configurations in it, and I wasn't able to get it working consistently. I gotta figure that out. Or I could just play video games for the next month. I'm running a game right now, Borderlands 4, from the output of my desktop upstairs using a GLI Net KVM. And not only am I running Borderlands 4, well, I'm not gonna say well because it's Borderlands 4 and it just doesn't run well, even on a 5090, but it's running and not crashing. But I'm also running Sunshine, a game streaming server, and its companion client, Moonlight, on the Framework Laptop 13 here. So my desktop upstairs is now running Linux. It's streaming a game to the laptop that's running Linux. Oh my God, compiling shaders. I'm not gonna lie, I was expecting the software side of things to be the easy part and the games to be the nightmare, but all of the games I've tried, Overwatch 2, Arc Raiders, Helldivers, Borderlands 4, they all just... What is happening? Is that artifacting or is that just anti-aliasing? Yeah, I don't... But Is that just the game running like crap? I don't know. It might still be dumpster trash. I'm not entirely sure. Borderlands is an important one because I'm doing a Borderlands playthrough with the wife, and if I couldn't play it for a month, I might get murdered. So, holy shit. When I'm playing Overwatch on Windows in the same settings, I get like 400 to 500 FPS. In Linux, 500 FPS! Like 400 to 500 FPS is the same performance I get in Windows. This might even be better. I'm not gonna go like crazy in depth on like exact performance testing in this video. Stay tuned for the 30-day update. I'll run a bunch of benchmarks in all the games I play in that video, and we'll get to see like really what it was like. And not only just the performance, but also like how stable it was and how reliable this whole setup was, but I'm impressed. Genuinely. Will Battlefield even run? No! Damn it! Am I allowed to run a Windows VM? On this planet, with the automatons, 150 FPS. And not only am I getting that FPS in the game, but I'm also game streaming at 100 megabit to the laptop and recording locally on that machine also with the GPUs. I mean, the 5090 is no joke, but like, I was expecting it to be a lot worse. Maybe this isn't gonna be that bad. Maybe it's gonna be okay. Maybe using Linux is not gonna be the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life. Never mind, this is horrible. I'm getting my shit rocked, and it's all Linux's fault. Holy shit, there's so many, ow! Thanks for watching. If you like this video, you hit the like button, get subscribed, and honestly, let me know down in the comments what Linux distro you would use. Did I pick the right one? It seems to be working pretty good for me. Let's just hope that this isn't the worst month of my life.
Try Linux earnestly. Do something interesting with it.